Does the carnivore diet increase your risk for heart disease, for clogged arteries, for other health problems down the road? Well, a lot of people would say yes. In this video today, I'm actually going to show you my personal lab testing results. I got a bunch of blood tests done on Friday. I got some measurements done. I got my blood pressure taken. All of those things. I'm going to give you all those health metrics in this video and let you decide for yourself based on my results what you think. I'm also going to be doing a second video where I sit down with a heart health coach / doctor who is going to go a little bit more in depth to some of these numbers. So I am going to be flashing out numbers from my patient portal. It's going to give my birth date and my full name, which you can probably find those things anyway if you search on the internet. So bookmark it, send me presents in June. I'll be 41. So stay tuned for all of that. This is going to be, again, a broad overview of all of those things, and then there's going to be a second video, so you're going to want to hit that subscribe button so that you can get a little bit more in depth on what some of these numbers mean. So the first thing that I'm going to give you is my blood pressure. When this test was done, and I know my blood pressure has been lower before, but I was at my doctor's office, so sometimes there's the white coat effect, you know, where your blood pressure goes up a little bit, but it was 112/72 the morning that all these tests were run. My weight was 145 pounds, and I am 5'7", almost 5'8", just barely. My waist circumference is 26 inches, and my hip circumference is 36 inches. So those metrics tell you a little bit about my overall health, but they just give you the appearance. So let's jump into the blood work right away. So I don't have comprehensive lab testing from before I did this diet, but I do have a few test results that I have saved over the years, which shows some health problems I have been struggling with for most of my life. The biggest health problem that I had really struggled with as far as energy and just overall not feeling well was anemia. I've had anemia since I was a child. As you can see from this picture here, in 2014 when this lab was taken that shows I am anemic, I was thin. This is when I was eating a plant-based diet or a vegan diet, and I was thin. I didn't really have a lot of muscle, and I might have looked, you know, pretty good, but I didn't feel good, and I was tired a lot, and I struggled with anemia. So that diet didn't really work out well for me. I did eventually start eating some meat on the advice of one of my yoga teachers, believe it or not, but that's a whole separate video. And I started experiencing a lot of inflammation because I started doing a lot of greens, you know, and a little bit of meat. So I was not eating a ton of animal protein, but I was eating enough so that my anemia started to resolve. I kind of just teetered borderline with all of my labs. However, I'm going to flip through these labs here. My A1C was 5.6, which if you look at that reference range, you know, it's okay. My doctor said okay levels, but if you really want to drill down into it, it's bordering on pre-diabetic. And if you look at the picture, I'm inflamed. I am not feeling well, you know, like I said, teetering with anemia, A1C of 5.6. So to address those two metrics, A1C and the CBC, complete blood count. Here is a picture of my CBC now. As you can see, absolutely normal, everything within ranges, no longer anemic. Here is my current A1C, which is 4.8. That was taken this past Friday, which is phenomenal. So I have taken my A1C down as a result of eating an animal-based diet. The next thing I want to talk about is a very important marker for inflammation. It is the C-reactive protein number. Here is mine. You can see it is a 0. So your C-reactive protein is going to tell you your risk of inflammation, other things going on in the body that the body is having a really difficult time repairing. My number is a 0 for C-reactive protein. The next thing I'm going to flash up here is the metabolic panel. So the metabolic panel is going to tell you all kinds of things. It's going to tell you, and I've got to glance down here because I am not a doctor. This is not medical advice, by the way. This is literally just me telling you, oh, I got some blood tests done, I got some lab tests done, here's the results. But this is my metabolic panel. So metabolic panel is going to tell you your fasting glucose number. Mine was an 85. It's going to tell you your electrolyte and fluid balance. It's going to tell you your kidney and liver function. As you can see from this panel, all of my numbers are completely within normal range. Again, I'm going to go in depth on these numbers with a friend of mine who's also a doctor in a second video, so make sure you subscribe so you can check that out. But essentially, metabolic panel, everything looks really good. There has been some talk in the carnivore community of some of us who are eating a lot of red meat, which I do eat a lot of red meat, is primarily what I eat, having an overload of iron in the blood, too much iron. So I asked for a comprehensive iron panel. Again, since I have the history with anemia, I was also curious. As you can see, my iron panel is completely normal. Everything is in normal ranges. The other thing I asked for was my ferritin levels. As you can see here, my ferritin level is at a 40, which is completely within normal ranges. I don't have that overloaded. And then another metric you want to check for when you're looking at iron in the blood is zinc. My zinc is great. So that is those metrics for me. I don't have an issue with an overload of iron in my blood from eating too much red meat. Now the next few metrics I got tested just because I heard that you should, if you're on a carnivore diet, be aware of these numbers. Again, my friend who is a doctor is going to jump into these in a little bit more in depth. The first metric is the IGF-1. These are my IGF-1 numbers, totally normal. Second metric is uric acid, which a lot of people say, oh, all the protein that you're eating, all of that meat you're eating, you're going to get gout. So uric acid, totally normal, no risk for gout. Vitamin D, which, you know, kind of doesn't really fit in with these others, but I always like to check my vitamin D levels, also looking good. The next thing I'm going to talk about is our hormones. That is a big thing people talk about when you start going low carb, which an animal-based or carnivore diet is low carb. You're not really eating any carbs. To check your hormones, to see if they're functioning properly. Now, I've had amazing results from this way of eating with my female issues. My cycles are predictable, on time, they are not painful. So I really wasn't expecting to see anything amiss with my hormones, but had them tested regardless. So the first metric is the TSH or T4 free, totally normal. I also had my estradiol tested. It has run low in the past. Here's my estradiol, again, normal. Cortisol tested. I have had an issue with low cortisol before. Cortisol normal. Had my progesterone and testosterone tested. Both of those also fell within the normal range. So here's the reason why you probably tuned into this video. How's your cholesterol? What's all that? So as I said, there's going to be a second video, and my friend and I are going to go in depth into my numbers. But for now, I'm going to let you know when my doctor got these numbers, got these lab test results. She did not prescribe a statin. She did not freak out. She wasn't even worried. But because of these percentages. So I'm going to show you first my HDL as a percentage of my total cholesterol. And the evaluation is below average risk. So that is that percentage. Again, I'm going to get into my specific numbers in the next video. The second metric I'm going to talk about in regards to my cholesterol is the LDL to HDL ratio. It is 1.71, which is also below average risk. And we're talking about heart disease, heart trouble, clogged arteries, all of those things. Again, I'm going to go into those numbers specifically in my next video. So again, subscribe to watch that. But these are a total picture of my health. I think it's really important that we don't just take one number or one metric and stick to that and say, oh my gosh, this person's really sick or they're gonna have a problem. I think we need to look at health as a whole. So I tried to get all these labs done and be as comprehensive as possible. Now, there will be more talk and discussion down the road. I'm doing a CGM experiment right now, so you're gonna wanna stay tuned to that because I've been testing how different exercises and things are working on my body. But you know, some people make the argument that being carnivore or low carb, it stresses out those different organs. As you can see from my metabolic panel, it's not an issue. All of my numbers look really good. So again, this is not medical advice. I am not telling you what you should do, what you should eat. I think everyone should find a way of eating that works really well for them. I just wanted to really test everything out, my measure of health, to see what those numbers truly looked like for me. Now, I feel great. The other thing is that I got an ultrasound. I have gotten ultrasounds. My doctor is actually a close friend as well, and she wheels the ultrasound machine into the room during our exams because I have had a history of fibroids. I've had a surgery to have fibroids removed from my uterus, and I have a history of ovarian cysts. So right before I started the carnivore diet, I had a lot of ovarian cysts that is on my chart. So this last time, and she checks me every time I go in just to see if we have more growth, because typically this is what she said to me Friday, is that when she sees someone that has fibroids or ovarian cysts, it's a problem that continues. It's not something that usually resolves and we're okay. It's something that will continue and usually get worse over time. So Friday we did the ultrasound. I was completely clear, no ovarian cysts, no fibroids. So, you know, maybe it's the diet, maybe it's the way I'm eating that's helping me to feel good, that is allowing me to have such improvements in my health. I don't know, you can judge for yourself. But I hope this was very helpful. And again, you're gonna wanna stay tuned for part 2, where we're really gonna break down these numbers, get a little bit more in depth for anyone who is like science or geeky and really wants to know all the data. That's coming. So thanks again for tuning in, and have a really awesome rest of your day.